financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is credit card debt and now disabled. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. This is a common and recurring topic.
It's going to be a little different. Jeffrey Kirshner.
Ken, this is my life. This is what I do. Happy to be here.
Glad to see you. Jim Simasco.
Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I'm going to twist the thing around, but not yet.
Okay.
First of all, Jeffrey, what's new in the disability world? I know that there was a big 8.7% increase in benefits.
Yes, that's been significant. An increase in benefits for SSD, even SSI. The rates are higher now. The max is $914 a month for SSI. Social Security disability, it's increased as well. So that's going well in terms of people getting money. It's still terrible to be on those benefits, but it's a necessary benefit for people. Hearings seem to be clicking along. You know, with regard to COVID, we weren't certain what's going to look like in terms of hearings moving forward. They're still primarily doing hearings either by video or telephone conference as opposed to actually going to the courthouses, which loses a little bit of the personal aspect of being in front of a judge. But it turns out that most cases, you really don't need that as much, and we're learning as we go along. So because of hearings operating this way, they're able to get more hearings scheduled. More hearings are occurring now, which is great for people because now the wait times are less. Both at the initial phase when you apply for benefits, if you get denied, there's a recon phase that's going quicker, and getting a hearing. So it used to be you go through these two phases. When you ask for a hearing, file what's called a request for hearing, it would still take you ballpark could take up to 2 years if we were talking 15 years ago.
Before COVID?
Well, before COVID, yeah. It was starting to reduce. Now, if I request a hearing for somebody at this third phase, it's taking about 8 to 10 months to get a hearing.
Oh, way faster.
So they have, at the third phase, you still have to go through the first two, but overall, from beginning to end, if you have to go through the appeals, which most people do, it's much quicker process.
So on the bright side, it's faster.
Correct.
Because of inflation, the 8.7% bump, that's also a benefit.
Correct.
Any new problems?
Not as many problems right now, except for the fact that staffing issues, just like the rest of the world, Social Security is a flippin' nightmare. The local offices are still terrible to deal with. You talk to any individual trying to talk to local offices, it's hard to get the right person on the phone, hard to get the same person on the phone twice. You file things with Social Security, you even send them by certified mail, they still lose things. They still have difficulty processing things, so there are a lot of difficulties on that end. Social Security lost a lot of good people. They're still trying to hire good people, but they can't replace them fast enough, and there's still an increased amount of people applying. Our population is aging, so hence, even people being disabled, there's more people applying.
So you're still dealing with government red tape.
You're dealing with the government.
Issues.
Correct.
All right, so here's how I want to shift around the perspective. We usually talk about someone becoming disabled and their income dependent on the income they had before. They become disabled and now they have no income, they have no assets, and they're facing complete economic disaster. That's kind of the norm.
Yes.
But sometimes, and this is what I want to kind of do a little twist today, is someone can become disabled that has assets and has accumulated wealth and then is losing their income and is disabled. And I want to talk about that person for a second. Okay, because we've always covered the person who basically, the moment he becomes disabled, is facing complete, total economic disaster. So instead, let's take Bert. He's 58 years old. He has a house fully paid for, market value $300,000. He's got 2 cars fully paid for, they're worth $80,000. He's got $250,000 of cash in the bank, liquid savings. He's got retirement accounts of $450,000. He was an employed airline pilot, making $200,000 a year. His only problem is he has $100,000 of credit card debt, and now his problem is he was severely injured. He's 60% blind, and he is not able to walk. So obviously his life as an airline pilot is over. Is he eligible for disability? Does it matter how much assets he has in terms of all these assets? What happens when he turns 65? Does he automatically shift to Social Security income and lose any disability he gets?
I think it's 67 now, but
And what if he wants to wait till 70 to collect? These are my questions.
You got a lot of questions.
Okay, so
you know
let's,
what?
Yeah.
I have a lot of answers.
Okay. So, and I also want to know what we can do about the $100,000 of credit card debt. But what about, is he eligible for Social Security disability?
Yes.
Okay,
He has. He's worked enough. You have, when you become disabled, you had to have worked at least 5 complete years over the previous 10 years, although they break a year into 4 quarters, so you have to have earnings in 20 quarters over the past 40 quarters. Doesn't take much to earn in terms of getting those credits. So absolutely he is eligible for benefits. Typically, though, you don't apply Social Security disability or for people who are unable to work for 12 months or longer. That's both Social Security disability and SSI, supplemental security income. Usually, with regard to people, I don't apply right away unless they have a life-threatening illness like stage 4 cancer or permanent paralysis. Usually I find the sweet spot is about the 6-month mark after they become disabled, because at least you have then 6 months of medical to prove.
Should Bert wait 6 months and then apply?
Yes, because you have that medical for 6 months to show that they've been disabled so far, and at least the expected trajectory of the disability reasonably could be another 6 months.
All right, so what, just on Bert, is the fact that he's now legally blind and can't fly as a pilot, does that make him eligible for disability?
It could. So it all goes back to your transferable skills too and how it impacts your life. Just being blind or legally blind, we have a Supreme Court justice who's legally blind can work. So there are other factors to be considered, but that would be a huge factor.
Let's take a break, and then I want you to explain to me what you mean by what did you say, transferable skills. We'll be back after the break.
Are you in financial crisis? Do you owe too much credit card debt? Are you behind in your mortgage? Do you owe the tax man? These are the problems that many people face. Solutions exist. If you want to know what they are, come to our free seminar June 7th in our offices in Bingham Farms. Sign up at thavgross.com or call us today at 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. And take your first step to a fresh start today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So transferable skills.
Yes.
So he's blind. He's all his life he's been an airline pilot.
Correct.
And now he's blind. He can't do that, and he's in a wheelchair.
It depends.
Does he have transferable skills?
Well, he does, possibly, and that's up to a vocational expert to see. They look at part of the equation in terms of disability is not only can you do or not do your past relevant work, which is jobs that you've done over the past 15 years, but also the issue is whether or not those jobs provided you transferable skills. Skills that maybe you can't do what you were doing, but skills that would translate to other work that you could within 30 days.
So say he could teach.
Well, then it's possible, but then you look at other factors too. Yes, he could teach, he could do some other things. I don't know how, whether or not being blind
But
allows
how do
you
they
to teach.
decide? Do they have to find him a job so that he's then ineligible, or do they just say, you can do this, therefore we don't have to pay you?
Well, so part of the equation is they actually have vocational experts that are part of the process that will review your age, education, past relevant work experience,
So
and
your
your
job's to
disabilities.
argue there are no transferable skills, so
Or
you can't do it?
Well, not as much the transferable skills, because sometimes that's hard to argue, but then you say, well, yeah, he's got transferable skills, but he can't do those other jobs because of all the other issues. You said he's in a wheelchair. Maybe he has to take breaks, and they only allow a certain amount of breaks per day, or a certain amount of absenteeism.
So this is part of the issues you have to deal with.
So it's all these complicated factors that
Does this come in play in a lot of your cases?
100% of my cases
Yeah.
comes in
Okay.
play. All of my cases, and that's what I do.
The fact that he's 58 and closer to retirement, does that make a difference?
It makes a huge difference. Thank you for that, because there are things called the residual functional capacity grids in Social Security that make it a little bit easier to get benefits, and those grids really start at age 50, and then those grids lighten up at age 55, and those grids lighten up a little bit more at age 60.
So
depending on what your limitations are, that
Right,
makes
so
a difference.
he's got this 60% blindness and he can't walk. If you're awarded Social Security disability, are you just, this is what you get, boom, or do you get like 50? You're 50% disabled, so you only get half. How much do you get? The whole thing or nothing?
All or nothing. There's no
in
percentage
between.
right in between. Either you're disabled and you get what you're based on what you've paid in the system.
Does it matter
or you
how
don't.
many of the assets that he has? Does that matter?
For Social Security disability, nothing. You can have $10 million and nothing. But for supplemental security income, it does matter.
He wouldn't be
That's
eligible
need-based.
for that.
No, because
Yeah.
for SSI, supplemental security income, other than having a place to live and a car, if you are single, you can only have up to $2,000 of assets. That's money in the bank. If you own a second property, own a second car. If you are married, then the number jumps up to $3,000, except that they look at joint assets. So not just you, but your
So that means your spouse is only worth half of you?
Exactly.
Okay, that's a rough one.
What if his employer gave him disability payments? Hey, you're disabled, I'm going to pay you 60% of your wages because that was in his contract.
So actually, that's a good question. I see that all the time. And actually, getting those benefits is actually considered passive income. And a lot of people I deal with all the time, they have these private disability policies, or they work for the big three or something and have disability policy. It doesn't matter as long as you can establish, because the federal government sees this income coming in your asset statements that we see every year what's coming in. If you can establish that that money is actually passive income. from a disability policy or owning
So it
something
does-
but you're
it's
not
not an
working.
offset against
It's
you.
not an offset whatsoever.
You can
and doesn't
double dip.
disqualify you, absolutely. But then the issue becomes, if you have these disability policies and you get Social Security, you have to take a look at these disability policies, because a lot of these disability policies say, well, if you get Social Security disability
Then it
for the
reduces
same
us.
period that we have, we're entitled to offset that. But there are some policies that have a non-coordination clause that does allow you to double dip.
So if you, let's say you get Bert approved for disability, and he's collecting it starting at 59.
Okay.
Okay. When he turns 67,
Well, it
what
reaches
happens?
full
After 65,
retirement age.
Nothing. It seamlessly transfers. So Social Security disability pays you at the rate you are going to, bless you,
Excuse me.
pays you at the rate that you are going to get paid when you reach your maturity date. That's what it does. So it pays you at that level. And some people need to understand this, and I do this for some people too. When you hit age 62, you can retire early. You can get your Social Security early, although at age 62, you take a 30% haircut because
Right.
you're getting your benefits early. I have clients, though, that elect to get their retirement early at 62, but are still disabled. So what I can do is still file a claim for them, and they're getting their benefits at age 62 with the 30% haircut. I can get them found to be disabled and get all that money made up to their regular retirement age.
But you can't get the extra that you would get if you retired at 70.
Correct. That's different, because once you hit your mature date, it's 100%. Then if you wait longer, then it increases by percentage.
Help me out here, though. Let's say, Bert, you get him approved, and his disability payment that he's getting is $2,200 a month. But at retirement, he would be getting $3,500 a month.
He would get the $3,500 a month for Social Security disability. Pays you at your retirement, whatever your 100% rate is. That's what Social Security.
So you
100%
said it's,
at
you
full
said it's a
retirement?
Correct.
you said it's a seamless transition.
So what happens-
if you're switching to Social Security? I assume you could also decline to take your Social Security at that point, because remember, Bert's got money in the bank. And if he wanted to wait to collect Social Security at 70, living on what he otherwise had in retirement assets, he could probably stop collecting Social Security disability at 67.
You can't stop it. Once you get on that benefit, that's it. You don't have that option then that some people exercise who continue to work and get their Social
Right, so
Security
the only
later.
question I don't understand is, when Bert turns 59, is he going to get Social Security disability equal to the same benefit that he would get for Social Security income at 66, or does he get a lesser amount?
Well, he could have gotten a little bit more had he worked more and increased his earnings, yes. But at 59, whatever your maximum rate is for that time, that's what you get.
If Bert wanted to do a side job, could he make some money on disability?
Yes. So that's dealing with the issue of substantial gainful activity, SGA. And actually the law allows you a couple things. There's what's called a trial work period, where you get a period of time to work, 9 months in a 60-month period of time to work, and it doesn't impact you. Second of all,
All right, well, hold on a second of all. We're going to take a break. We got to pay for some commercials, and then we'll be right back and go on to that.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Simasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Simasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just just highly recommend Samasco Law.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. Time for announcements. We have a free seminar coming up Wednesday, June 7th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., The Debt-Free Feeling. This is about how good you feel. It's actually an endorphin that once you become debt-free, your life takes a different perspective, and the seminar focuses on how to accomplish that, how to become debt-free, how to reposition yourself to save for retirement, solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. The key is getting rid of the debt. Attendees receive a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP, or register online at lawandreality.com. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online to our website to get our free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions, Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me? How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Are you in financial crisis? Do you owe too much credit card debt? Are you behind in your mortgage? Do you owe the tax man? These are the problems that many people face. Solutions exist. If you want to know what they are, come to our free seminar June 7th in our offices in Bingham Farms. Sign up at thavgross.com or call us today at 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. And take your first step to a fresh start today.
We're back. So you were talking about substantial activity.
Yes. And so the question was, can you still work? We talked about this trial work period, but after that, 9 months in a 60-month window of time, they want you to try working if you can. So you get this 9-month window to earn to your heart's desire, to not have it impact your Social Security benefits. There's no coordination, and doesn't impact the determination as to whether or not you're disabled. After that, you use up those 9 months, that trial work period. Then the issue is, if you continue to work, the threshold is, for 2023, the threshold is $1,470 a month. So you can earn up to $1,470 a month, not have it impact your monthly payments, and not have it impact the determination as to whether or not you continue to be disabled. So you can still earn a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's still something you could still earn.
If you go over that amount by a little bit, does it just reduce your benefit by the amount you go over, or does it
could do two things. It could cause you to possibly have a redetermination as to whether or not you remain disabled.
So you got to be careful.
You have to be careful.
All right, so
now,
Bert
are these
also
determinations permanent now, or do they get to review them? How often do they review the determination that you've been deemed disabled?
Well, it all depends. Some people, they never look at it again. Some people, if they're younger individuals, a lot of times when they make these determinations, you'll see it in the judge's decision. I just had one the other day for a younger individual that said we should look at this case in 24 months. I've had one that said we should look at it in 18 months. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Social Security will, but that's a judge recommending that they take a look at it, because they think that there may be a likelihood that the person recovers in a period of time.
I want to talk about Bert's $100,000 of credit card debt.
Bert's doing debt resolution.
Well, why doesn't he just... So I have two questions. First of all, why in the world would Bert have $100,000 of credit card debt if he's got all of this cash?
Well, because people live beyond their means all the time. People just get used to charging things up and paying the minimum monthly payment, and it's just part of their daily life.
So you see it all the time?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I never understand why people making that kind of money that have money in the bank have debt, but they do.
So he can't file bankruptcy, right?
He legally qualifying for bankruptcy and doing something stupid are pretty much the same thing in this situation.
So he wouldn't do a bankruptcy?
He would not do a bankruptcy.
Okay, so why doesn't he just take the money out of savings and pay off the credit card and save his credit score?
Again,
what about his credit rating?
Okay, 1, credit scores heal. 2, Bert needs as much money in the bank for the rest of his life as he can save and keep. So settling his credit card debts through debt resolution is the right solution. Paying less, because at the end of the day, he keeps his house, he keeps his cars, he has more money in the bank, and he gets rid of the debt.
He doesn't really need credit.
Right.
But why can't he call Mr. American Express and say, I don't want to pay what I owe you. I'm only going to pay half. Why can't he just call them and do it himself?
Well, he could try, and they'll laugh at him because he doesn't understand the process. People can. There's nothing a lawyer does that an individual can't do.
American Express.
But I'll tell you what. Go ahead, try.
You're Bert. Call me.
Ken, I see here where I owe $40,000. I'm just not going to do it.
No.
I'll pay $20,000.
No.
Bert.
No.
Bert, let me explain it to you this way. We never, ever reduce the amount that can be paid. Because of your circumstance, we are willing to reduce your interest rate for 6 months down from 22% down to 8%. But that's the only offer we will ever make. You may read and hear on TV and radio that there are programs that we reduce the rate and that we accept less. I'm telling you, on my life of my family, that never happens at our company. We never make those concessions. You are being misled. We absolutely have to get paid the full amount.
But I just heard it on the radio.
And if you can't believe everything you hear. If you don't pay us in full,
my lawyer says I don't have to pay it all.
If you don't pay us in full, it'll ruin your credit score. It'll make things horrible for you. The smart thing to do is to pay us in full over time. But if you want this grace period and the interest rate, that's all you'll get. That's the call you're going to receive. They lie to you and just tell you that they do not accept reduced settlements because they only accept them when it goes through the process of that type of plan where they're denied the payment. Their people are trained to focus on your credit score, and this is the best you'll ever get. You agree?
100%.
So, Bert, do what Brian says.
Debt
That's
resolution.
what you want to do.
Yep.
Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.